Hi, my name is Tulal, and today I will be talking about how red meat increases cancer risk. The research question for this topic: does frequent consumption of red meat increase the risk of developing cancer? How cancer affects people. Cancer is the second highest cause of death in the United States, and diet is a factor of many cancers. According to graph in Our World in Data, colon and rectal cancer is the second highest cancer that has led to death within individuals in 2019. Colon and rectal cancer is the most commonly associated cancer in regards to consuming red meat. To understand the topic I will be discussing, there are two definitions that are vital to understand prior to me explaining the topic. The first one is cancer. Cancer can be defined as the uncontrolled growth and spread of abnormal cells in the body. Red meat refers to meat from mammals, such as beef, pork, lamb, and veal, and it is characterized by its high myoglobin content, giving it a reddish appearance. While processed meat undergoes treatments such as curing, smoking, or adding preservatives and additives to extend its shelf life and enhance flavor and texture. Moderate intake of red meat as part of a balanced diet is generally considered safe, but choosing lean cuts and diversifying protein sources can help mitigate potential risks. Correlation of red meats to cancer and our diet. Fresh red meat consumption is associated with increased risk of rectal cancer. Processed meat consumption shows similar trends when analyzed continuously, but has weaker associations analyzed categorically. These facts were according to Anderson Wolf, who created a lab report about how potential health hazards of eating red meat. And within our diet, red meat belongs within the protein portion of our diet. And according to the recommended dietary allowance, RDA, for protein is 0.8 grams per kilogram of body weight, or 0.36 grams per pound. Red meat has some direct carcinogens, which is associated to our diet and cancer, which through some dietary components, like processed meats, it contains carcinogenic compounds that damage DNA directly, which can increase cancer risk. On top of that, it can also causes inflammation, which creates an environment conducive to cancer development. In a study by Damaso M. Talamani Vazzetti C. et al., titled Red Meat and Cancer Risk in a Network Case of Case Control Studies focusing on cooking practices, it explored how consumption of red meats provides essential nutrients such as protein, essential amino acids, vitamins, including B12, and minerals like iron, iron, and zinc. But it may also contain additives, contaminants, residues, and antibiotics and hormones, and potentially harmful compounds formed during cooking at high temperatures, such as heterocyclic amines, HAAs, and polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, PAHs, which are associated with increased cancer risks. Worldwide, the consumption of red meat varies widely among populations, with average daily intake ranging from approximately 50 to 100 grams per person, and high consumption considered 200 grams per person. The environmental and health impacts of red meat consumption underscore the importance of considering dietary choices and cooking methods. Specifically, carcinogens formed during high heat cooking, frying, grilling, create heterocyclic amines and polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, PAHs. Heme and iron in red meat may increase oxidative damage and inflammation within our colons. N-nitrosyl compounds, NOCs, formed in the digestive systems have potential carcinogens within them. My first experiment by Steinberg P., titled Red Meat Derived from Nitrosyl Compounds, Lipid Peroxidation Products, and Colorectal Cancer. which aimed to confirm the nodal relationship between red meat consumption and cancer, specifically the colorectal cancer. This was a case control study. The study involved hospital-based case control analyses across various cancer types, assessing red meat consumption association with cancer risk using logistic regression models and controlling for multiple variables. Additionally, red meat consumption creates nitroso compounds and carboxymethylated DNA adducts, contributing to colorectal cancer, while lipid peroxidation products play a role in tumor development. To conclude, the consumption of red meat leads to the formation of N-nitrosothiols and nitrosohemi, which may act as nitric oxide donors and induce DNA adduct formation, potentially contributing to colorectal carcinogenesis, while lipid peroxidation products such as malondialdehyde and 4-hydroxynonenal also play a role in promoting colorectal tumor development. The second experiment aimed to identify diet-related DNA adducts in red and white meat to understand their potential role in colorectal cancer development. This was a cell study done by Bizarrotinia A, Chung F, L. Debra et al. Titled DNA adduct profiling of in vitro colonic meat digests to map red versus white meat genotoxicity, where the study compared DNA adduct profiles in vitro colonic meat digests to investigate the genotoxic effects of red versus white meat consumption, revealing significant inter-individual variability, distinct differences between pre- and post-colonic samples, and specific markers associated with red meat consumption, shedding light on the mechanisms underlying the link between meat intake and colorectal cancer development. The study utilizes 06-CMDG-06-MEDG, 06-33D3-MEDG, and DG for DNA adduct analysis, with myoglobin added to meat preparations for investigating Hemi's iron role, followed by stimulated gastrointestinal digestion and DNA adduct extraction using an in vitro model. Toxfinder profiling, seed pre-processing, and Simca multivariate statistics were employed for DNA adduct identification and analysis, revealing significant differences in DNA adduct profiles between meat types and highlighting potential markers associated with red meat consumptions. To conclude, DNA adduct profiles investigated the effects of red and white meat and specific markers associated with red meat consumption, shedding light on the mechanisms underlying the link between meat intake and colorectal cancer development. In the third and last experiment, by Tavani A, Lavecchia C, Gallus S, et al., titled Red Meat Intake and Cancer Risk, a study in Italy, aimed to investigate the association between red meat intake and risk of various cancers, with a focus on colorectal, stomach, and pancreatic cancers. The method was between 1991 and 2009, a series of case control studies conducted in Italy and Switzerland involving over 15,000 cancer cases and 11,000 controls explored the association between red meat consumption and cancer risk using logistic regression models. And looking at the table, adjusted odds ratios, ORs, for different levels of red meat consumption and increments of 7 portions per week were provided in this study, along with corresponding statistical significant values. Figure 1 illustrates, which is the table, the OR for subjects with the highest versus lowest red meat intake levels. Elevated risks were observed for stomach, colon, rectal, pancreatic, and bladder cancers with higher red meat intake. Slightly increased risks were also noted for some female cancers. Red meat consumption is associated with increased risk of colorectal, stomach, and pancreatic cancers, with mixed evidence for other cancers. And these findings align with epidemiological studies and support the role of meat in cancer development, particularly in Mediterranean populations with traditionally lower red meat intake. To conclude, my research question was, Does frequent consumption of red meat increase cancer? And within experiment 1, it shows that red meat consumption contributes to colorectal cancer through the formation of nitroso compounds and carboxymethylated DNA adducts, as well as how lipid peroxidation products promote tumor development. Also on in the second experiment where it showed ingesting DNA adduct profiles into in vitro grown meat, showed how eating red meat can lead to harmful compounds entering the body, and fats within red meat can also contribute to tumor development. Lastly, my last study, it shows how high consumption of red meat and processed meats is consistently associated with increased risk of oral cancers and stomach cancers. Thank you for coming to my topic discussion today. And these are my sources.